Good morning, class. So today we're going to be I'm talking about poverty alleviation in the Ozarks, specifically the Back to School Bash, which is this major event, this major push by several different churches across denominational lines in St. Robert, Missouri, and why we do it, and what we hope to get out of it. This class has actually opened my eyes a little bit to maybe some things we aren't doing that we need to be doing. So we're going to discuss that too. So to get started, we're going to talk a little bit about what poverty is, poverty in the Ozarks, and some of the causes in the Ozarks that have caused poverty. Read right there what exactly poverty is and how it is defined. The Ozarks region in Missouri and Arkansas have always been impoverished. They were impoverished 100 years ago, 150 years ago when the area was founded. Having said that, some areas are a little bit more impoverished than others. As you can see there, overall, about 1 in 4 people in the Ozarks region in Missouri and in Arkansas live in poverty. As you get closer to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, S&T, which is a pretty large campus for engineering, college for engineering, and you get around Lake of the Ozarks, which is a popular tourist destination and also a spring break destination for teenagers in the Midwest that may not be able to afford to go to somewhere else. It does get a little bit lower, but it's still significantly higher than the national average. So what we're going to go over now is just a brief overview of the different kinds of poverty that we have here in the Ozarks. The first one is absolute poverty. It's a kind of poverty that involves chronic lack of food, housing, just basic necessities to live. And if you don't believe that can happen in the United States, go someplace like Warsaw, Missouri, someplace like Stella, Missouri, these little towns that people in big cities, even in a city as close as St. Louis, which is only an hour and a half away, really don't know about. There is absolute poverty. There are people whose children die of preventable diseases. People who live in the woods and they go fishing in the wintertime and they hunt in the summer and they're sleeping under 10 to 12 blankets at night just to stay warm. Of course, then you have relative poverty. This kind of poverty is usually in relation to other members and families in a society. So a family can be considered poor if they can't afford a vacation or buy presents for the kids. They're not poor where they're not eating, they're just poor relative to everyone else. Then you have situational poverty. And we really have this as a big issue too in the Ozarks. People become poor because of earthquakes, floods, serious illness. A couple months ago now, there was a flood that just wiped out Devil's Elbow. There's this little town on the map in Missouri called Devil's Elbow, and it no longer exists as it did. There wasn't a lot of assistance there for them initially. A lot of people didn't know how to react, but that flood from those riverways destroyed the entire city. And then you have generational chronic poverty, and that's what we've had here. For the last 150 years, it's just been generation after generation after generation, one poor generation after another. They can't really escape from it, and they don't have access, or they don't believe they have access to the tools to get them out. Of course, there are so many opportunities here in the Ozarks. There's so many nonprofits here that they really do have access to it, but we have to give them that access to it. Of course, the question becomes why. There's so much that needs to be done. Why should we be focused on this? Why should we be helping? And the real reason, there's a couple real reasons. I just want to point out Isaiah 61:1. And it says, "The Lord God's Spirit is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim the release for the captives, and liberation for prisoners." If that's not enough, the whole biblical narrative is one of us being set free from sin. And on top of that, historical roots. Historical roots in this region, the church really came in here and built up a great base of nonprofits, and we're going to get more into that. But those are 3 reasons why we should be helping. If you want another reason on top of that, outside of that and the resources, which I just lost my slides to, But it's a sowing strategy. I'm not talking about reaping right now. Reaping is a whole nother dimension. Too often we get focused on, well, this bring people into the church. What about just getting them to like us? I mean, we all know that Christianity is being viewed kind of negatively. This helps with that. It doesn't get people through the doors, but so what? People will leave. They'll leave this event and they'll think, man, Christianity isn't, these Christians, they ain't bad people. And all of us working together, these different churches, Westside Baptist Church, St. Robert First Assembly, Still Usable Ministries, all these different churches working together, it really shows the love of Jesus and unity. I do want you to be cautious with one thing about it. Don't try to attempt. Don't attempt to reap. We're not here to get people into our church. We're here to help people and show them Christian love, of course. And finally, another reason, and probably one of the more significant ones also, is per capita, the Ozarks region has the most nonprofit organizations in America, from Teen Challenge to Convoy of Hope. There are over 240 poverty, drug abuse, and domestic violence nonprofits. Okay, so let's take a look at what this actually is. This is called Back to School Bash or Back to School Extravaganza. It's happening on 12 August at 10 a.m. It's happening at the Ark Community Center. In case you're wondering how religious the Ozark region is, the St. Robert Community Center is known as the Ark Community Center, and it looks like Noah's Ark. I'm not making that up. So what we're doing is we're getting people help, but we're also connecting them to resources. We're going to be handing out book bags and supplies and a week's worth of food, but there's going to be all these great organizations that are like Good Samaritan of the Ozarks, the St. Robert First Assembly Resource Center, the Crocker Presbyterian Thrift Store. There's going to be all these different resources there where we can connect people and say, hey, do you have a way to get here? Do you know that these places exist? And if you do you have a way to get to them? How can we help you get the help you need? We're really connecting people, and yeah, we're having fun with it too. I mean, of course, but it's hygiene care. We're going to teach them how to take care of their bodies. You won't be surprised at how many women don't know basic feminine hygiene. And this is an opportunity. We have a couple doctors on site that can go over that with them. We'll have counselors on site, licensed professional counselors that work at two really great Christian counseling centers on post in the community. There's also special needs resources and how to get help from the government. And so this is an opportunity to show resources to people, but at the same time, to connect them and to get them hopefully out of that generational poverty. And in so doing, they probably won't show up to our churches next week. Most of them probably don't have the ability to get here. A lot of them are being bussed in. That's particularly what I'm going to be doing in this event, is bussing people in back and forth. But it shows the love of Jesus. And we need to remember that a lot of people that have physical poverty also have spiritual and emotional poverty. Physical poverty is a disease. It's almost demonic in how it can overtake and possess people, and it can destroy them emotionally and destroy them spiritually. And right here, we're giving them hope. We're showing them the love of Christ. And maybe they won't show up today or tomorrow, but we've planted a seed. And at the end of the day, we're sowing love, but more importantly, we're being obedient to the one who first loved us. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did also for me.